Today I have multiple hidden functions and aspects of Adobe Illustrator that might have slipped through the net for you. These functions demonstrate just how powerful of a program Illustrator is, and let's start with this one right here. So we can make responsive labels or buttons, and to do that, first take some text and apply a color of your choice. You then need to open up the Appearance panel. In the top right, select a new fill, and this will be our button. We need to apply an effect, and that is to convert to a rounded rectangle. In the new window, we simply adjust the roundness of the corners by nudging your arrow keys on your keyboard, and holding down Shift kind of speeds that up by 10 times. We also can adjust the width and the height too. Now, the responsive aspect of this design is that we can edit the text, and the label or the button will change in accordance to our text. This typography is a pretty poor choice, but yeah, you get the idea. Moving on, something in relation to compound paths. Firstly, a quick reminder that a compound path is where we have multiple different objects united as one vector path. It's a non-destructive workflow, and I can show that here with this circle that now has a crescent cut into it. But if we're working on a specific kind of design, we may want to be very precise with our adjustments, and I have some tips for that right here. Firstly, hit Command or Control Y to enter into outline mode, and then we can take the group selection tool found right here by holding down a click over the direct selection tool. Great, so this is pretty widely and commonly known, but if you click one of the shapes that you want to adjust and then hit R for the rotate tool, you can then hold down the Alt or the Option key and click your cyan crosshair that should bring up a rotate window. Now we can make our precise adjustments of the compound path within Adobe Illustrator. This is essential for things like logo marks, or as some people might say, logo symbols, because we do need to keep a precise kind of workflow with those designs. Also, we can drag the crosshair into other areas of our compound path, maybe as here in the direct center. Just like before, press the Alt or the Option key and enter into the rotate mode. Remember, this isn't two shapes. It's a compound path, which is non-destructive. We can also freehand move the inner cutout section by using the group selection tool, as well as making a whole host of other adjustments too. But yeah, the rotate tool can be used in this way to remain precise, along with maybe the transform tools as well. So here is a bunch of happy sheep, and as you probably know, we can hold down Shift and rotate the sheep to a fixed 45-degree angle. Great, but if I select them all at once and do the same thing, the entire group shifts by 45 degrees. Instead of using the global edits function, we can also just right-click the whole selection and then use the transform each function found here. We can then adjust each of the objects with the same values. Aside from the rotate function, we also have things like moving and scaling objects on vertical and horizontal axes, and then also reflecting the objects too. This is one function that not many people use or even know about, but it's been right there the whole time. This trick will help you make color swatch groups really quickly. So take two colors that you want to use for your design or that you think might fit the brief. Then press W on your keyboard for the blend tool and then click each square to generate a blend. Then come into the blend options and we will select specified steps. The number of steps you use will dictate how many colors in your swatch group. We then need to expand the entire blend and finally ungroup it so we have the individual squares. This then leaves us with a possible swatch group for our project, and we just need to select them all and then add them into a swatch library like so. It's pretty straightforward and it's a quick way to make some swatch groups for your projects. Oh, also, you don't have to start with only two colors. You could also start with maybe 3 or 4 different colors and then go ahead and blend those together. Using more colors at the start will leave you with more options at the end, so you might have to be picky and a bit selective about which colors you bring into your swatch groups. And next up, a quick function that few people know about and actually ever use. In Illustrator, you can turn almost anything into a guide. If you select it and then press Command or Control 5, you'll then have guides instead of whatever vector path you had to begin with. And I personally like to use this when I'm making grids for my logo design and workflow. Well, actually, that's just one method that I use anyway. It's just another one of those hidden things that very few people know about for whatever reason. So I love this tip. Often when we really get into a creative zone, we end up making multiple different artboards on one AI design document. When we come to save this document, we can, however, use an option that will save each of these artboards as separate different AI files. And that's found here when you go to Save As and then hit Save. This obviously is useful for sending files to your clients or other designers, and just being organized in general. And as you can see in my folder, here are my 3 samurais that I saved earlier. So yeah, those were some more hidden tools or functions in Adobe Illustrator. But if you want to learn more interesting things about this program, do click a video on screen. And until next time guys, design your future today. Peace.